So, we have the pleasure of a busy lady, Miss Caroline Hinton, who has gone from not quite homeless or pushing a trolley with bags in it. Well, I should say she's gone from a bag lady to the nearly the CEO of a Fortune 500 company. That would be a lie, but
that would be a lie.
But the contrast is nearly good. Is nearly as good. We just have to bring it in a little bit because it's not quite the bag lady and it's not quite the CEO. But if we just pull that in a little bit, we're nearly there. So, Caroline signed up. She didn't come on the cruise ship. I don't know why you didn't come on the cruise ship. Why didn't you come on the cruise ship?
Because I lost more money trading, and my life was coming unglued.
So everything was coming undone, and then she in fact, it was so bad, she told me her name was School of Hard Knocks, if I remember correctly, from 2 years ago. Is that correct?
Yeah, no, I changed my name on Thinkorswim because I thought I was such an idiot.
Yes, her name was School of Hard Knocks. And I said, you're not having that name. Don't be so ridiculous. You're not talking to me and calling yourself that. Right? You're going to infect me with a mind virus. So literally, we changed that. And then Caroline, being very smart, recognizing something, and me being really foolish, offering something. We had loads of people sign up to do the course, and she says, "Oh, right, so you're going to coach me every single week for that sum of money? Well, I'll do that." Little did I realise the commitment it was, and then she was going to actually use it to her advantage to go, well, I won't do it this week, but I will do it this week. So it lasted 2 and a bit years, all right? But cleverly applied, has gone from where she is to where she is, which I want her to discuss. I'm going to ask Caroline a series of questions. What I'm going to speak about, I have absolutely no idea. I've just come from the gym. I've just done some serious weight training, and I've just done a half an hour of cardio, so I'm completely buzzing. So if I speak quickly at anybody, or Caroline, just tell me. I will slow right down to answer so you can hear what I'm saying. I will then and then Caroline's got to go in T-minus 52, 50, 51 minutes from now. So, Caroline, let's first begin, right? What was your situation when we met? Not the bag. Okay. What was the true situation?
Yeah, so true situation is...
What had been happening?
Yeah, so I had quit my job a couple of years earlier because I was making a lot of money trading iron condors. So I quit my job, borrowed money, quit my job because I had this magic mind amount in my mind that I needed in order to do that. Mm-hmm. Then market conditions changed, and I was losing money hand over fist. So I had to get a job. I was doing some consulting part time, and I was using my 401k to live on, the last little bit of money that was in there. I was, 60, 70 pounds, 70, 80 pounds overweight, using food to kind of cope. And, I was swimming in debt. And honestly, I was afraid that I needed to, walk away from my house and go live in a single wide mobile home that I owned in South Carolina. I mean, my life was coming down around my knees.
Right. You know when you say market conditions changed, what do you mean?
I mean, iron condor is a good strategy if the market's kind of going sideways and not moving more than, an average of 1 to 1.5 standard deviations in a month. And it was, right, and then the volatility, kind of the crash at the end of 2008, right, I mean, it would move, 2 standard deviations in a few hours, and right, so obviously the iron condor isn't the right strategy for that, and I didn't know what my exits were, and anyway, I lost a lot of money, not having any rules and not following any rules.
Just so for those people that don't understand the options, when you say 2 standard deviations, what do you mean? Just in simple layman's terms.
Yeah, so it's a mathematical calculation, basically. If you think about the bell curve.
In fact, don't tell them what the bell. What do you mean? It moved what? It moved massively against.
Way above average, right?
Okay.
And so the idea behind an iron condor is you 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 sell options that are far from price, and you think it's only going to move a certain amount, and if it moves a bunch in a day, then it puts that trade in jeopardy. And the good thing about an iron condor is your probabilities are very high. The bad thing is that you're risking 10 to make 1, depending on how you trade. That's the way I traded it. So I was losing 10 to make 1, and when I was losing, I was, completely destroyed any profit that I had made before then.
Wow. Right. Okay. And so that happened. How did you hear about me, and what made you sign up?
So when I first got into trading, I had heard about Options University. Somebody told me Ron Ianieri was the guy on options, and so back when Ron was with Options University, they had some kind of seminar. It was in Chicago or Florida. I can't remember exactly where it was, but they gave me a scholarship, quote unquote, because when I answered the question, I said I'd buy a lot of education. Why did I want to go? And so on that trip, I met David Elliott, and then I started following David Elliott. I bought one of his courses, and through David Elliott, I was introduced. Right, I found out about you because he was, affiliate marketing your audios on, mindset for trading.
Yeah. No, the reason why I asked why did you decide to do my thing is not for some ego boost sort of thing, but I'll tell you why. Because most people, when they come to trading, they come along and they think, oh, what I need to do is I need to find an entry signal. And then they start looking at first they start thinking, which stock should I buy? Then they go, I need an entry signal. Then they start looking at setups. And then they start thinking about stops. Eventually they come around to start thinking about systems. And then they start thinking about money management. And the last thing they ever come to do is think about psychology. Right? Now, so why did you, in your stage, start thinking, oh, it's some psychological stuff that I need?
Yeah, no, I mean, I knew that I was the common denominator of my problems, and I was at that point where any sane person would have hung it up, but I loved trading. I had a real passion for it, even though it wasn't going my way, and I felt like I had invested so much, and I didn't want to, quit 5 minutes before the miracle happened, and so when I read your material, because I was on your marketing list then before the cruise, and I was signed up to go on David Elliott's cruise, but I had to back out because I lost more money right before the cruise. But when I read through your materials, I mean, I knew that my mindset was what was working against me, and so it was I'm either going to quit or I'm going to do this, and this will either keep me alive or put a bullet in me. So I didn't really know what I was going to get out of working with you, Patrick, but I knew that I was at the end of my rope. And I didn't have any money left, very little money left to trade with. And, right, either I was going to be able to turn myself around psychologically and continue to work at it, or I needed to walk away.
Right, okay. Right, brilliant. Okay, right, so what did you have? So did you have any idea? Because I remember I first said to people when they very first started the course for me, what is it you ultimately want to get from this course? Do you have any recollection of what you actually wrote? I said, what do you want to get from this? Because I always say, whatever you go in there is what you're going to get. And that's why sometimes I like to do a course 3 or 4 times, because the thoughts of what I'm focused on is what I'm going to hear, and that which I'm not thinking about, it's going to go straight past me. So you must have went in there with a certain sort of, I want to be able to do X as a result of the interactions with Patrick. So what I want to establish is, what was your initial thoughts of ultimately what you wanted? Because you must have thought you wanted something. It wasn't a case of,
yeah, I wanted to be able to make money trading. I mean, what I wanted out of the course and what I got out of the course, if I had gotten what I wanted out of the course, I would have sold myself amazingly short.
Oh.
I mean, I just wanted to not lose money, right? I wanted to make money trading. I wanted to be able to, rely on it as a source of income.
Right. Okay. Right. So, what can you remember when we first started? What was one of the first things that you did and you applied one of the very first things. I think I remember it. I don't know what it was. Okay. Can you just tell them what it was, what you did, and how it benefited you?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's kind of funny because I was trying to get a job when we first started. In fact, I don't even know if we'd had the first webinar yet. We had just set up the Skype group, and I told you I was going to have an interview, and we talked about it, and you taught me very quickly how to get myself into the right mindset. And and I rehearsed going for the interview. I rehearsed how the room would go. I rehearsed fielding tough questions. I mean, I rehearsed the whole thing in terms of what the energy and my state of mind would be. And at the end of it, I mean, and so you taught me about state of mind just very quickly in that. So I went to that interview and did exactly what I had practiced and rehearsed in my mind. It was so incredibly powerful. I mean, the guy offered me the job on the spot. He fell in love with me. And I am certain that what you taught me over Skype is what enabled me to get that job. And the funny thing was I had left Microsoft making, I'd been there almost 10 years. I was making pretty good money, convinced I was going to have to take a big pay cut. And I actually got a pay raise. It was crazy. I mean, and I was able to negotiate more money. I mean, you actually helped me with that too. I mean, right away, just that one interaction paid for the course. Right, and we hadn't even started talking about trading.
No, I know. So this, I don't know if I missed it. Did you say what I taught you?
No, you taught me how to put myself into a state of mind and to rehearse what I wanted to happen before it happened.
How did that? Now, how specifically did that actually help you to get the job? Because someone could say, wait a minute, you still had to speak, you still had to say something. It was obviously what you said that got you the job, right? How did that actually get you the job? And how do you know it was that and it wasn't something else? It might have been your qualifications on your CV or some witty answer that you said or some brilliant answer. How do you know it was that rather than something else?
Gosh, I mean, it wasn't anything else. It was the energy, the confidence. It was the energy and the confidence that I brought to the interview. I mean, there's no question. I mean, how do you close somebody? Because it wasn't. I mean, I was in a very depressed state. I mean, I had been in a very depressed state. I mean, you taught me how to transcend that and to go. Right, I went from operating, at a pretty low level to an A game, right? So I went from low to high, and you taught me how to do that. And it was, and so the lesson for me was it's really all driven by my state of mind.
Okay, brilliant. Okay, so you got that job, and then we started doing the lessons. Okay, so when we started doing the lessons, what was your focus? Because I know later on we started talking about your values, and I started going, Caroline, that's not really your values. Caroline, that's not really, and I didn't want to tell you what it was. It was blatantly obvious to me what was really important to you, and you kept saying, it's this, it is, and I want to have a business that does X, Y, and Z. And but before we go there, let's come all the way back to the earlier days. I'm teaching a seminar. I'm teaching people. I'm telling you about how to get into state. I'm telling people about their identity. What were you getting from the sessions, and how specifically were you applying it?
Well, I think, I was getting more information about how to manage my state, and the way that I was applying it was, I was starting to spend some quiet time. I was thinking about trading. I was still trying to trade a little bit, but I didn't really have a method, and, I still lost some money right after we started because, right, I mean, I was kind of focused on the wrong thing. I need to make money. Oh my God, I need to make money. I'm in horrible debt. So, I mean, I was kind of slow getting out of the gate, and I was still, so I was trying to apply, like, we did the exercises about controlling state, and so I learned about I can be in one state and I can, put myself in another, by focusing. I remember the worksheet that we had where we did that and we practiced with each other. But I was still kind of doing the whole self-sabotage thing, and maybe I'm going here before you want me to.
No, this is good. Keep going.
Yeah, I was still stressed out to the max, and so I would apply it in little pieces, but it wasn't making a difference to the whole sum of my life. And I remember one day on the phone, because I was still eating. I think I gained like 20 pounds, the first 6 months of the course. And because I was eating out of control.
That wasn't a result of the course, was it?
No, it was not a result of the course.
Okay.
It was a result of me, continuing to think, for the most part, the way that I always had, and continuing to cope that way. So I was able to put a little bit of it into practice, but not a lot. And you said to me, you will never achieve your goals unless you get your health and fitness under control. And I'd heard you talk about it, and right, I had always struggled with my weight, and you told me to read Body for Life. And before that, actually, because I think this is important, before that, I remember we had started talking about our values, and what we thought were our top values. And of course, I in retrospect, I put what I thought my top values should have been. But one of the things that you had us do is, if something wasn't on your list of top values, because I wanted to be healthy and fit, but I wanted to eat more, was you had us do the exercise. So I think I wrote 100 or 200 reasons how health and fitness would help me make money trading, and how health and fitness would help me have a better relationship with my kids. And so I had done some pre-work, but when I read the book Body for Life, the light bulb came on. I knew when you said that to me that it was true, and I started following the program, and I actually surprised myself because I'd never done anything consistently. I had really never had voluntary exercise as a part of my adult life. And I have to say that the turning point was putting that into practice in my life, and pushing myself physically, and I really got more focused on the process, which was getting a workout in 5 or 6 days a week. And Body for Life was so prescriptive, I didn't have to wonder what I was supposed to be doing. Am I eating 5 or 6 small meals a day? And then I had a free day. I took the free day too. I followed the program. And through that process, I wasn't focused on losing weight. I was focused on following the program, because I was getting such great results, like mentally. And then right at the end of it, I had lost 70 pounds and, won a contest, and I've since met Bill Phillips. But that was the turning point for me. I realized that for me, health, and you were right, was a prerequisite to the rest of it, because that really kind of amped up the rest of the work that we did together.
Right, good. Now, here's the thing. Just so I don't sound like some crazy nutter person telling everybody they've got to go to the gym and exercise, they've got to read Body for Life in order to make money, because that's not universally true. Okay? Because if somebody absolutely hates exercise, there's loads of people out there that trade, make a fortune, and they don't do any exercise. But are you aware of why I said you specifically?
I'm not sure I am.
Are you not? It was because you were in several of our chats. You talked about your weight and how it was this struggle, and how it was really. You spoke about how you used to be competitive when you were younger at sports and all these things like that. And we discussed this, and you talked about how your weight had been going up and down, and it had been this horrible thing in your life consistently they had no control over. And I saw this, and I thought about it in a metaphorical sense in trading and discipline and being able to focus, because you just said it, by the way. I was thinking about, if you can get somebody to follow a process and enjoy a process, the results will take care of themselves. And I thought, rather than me doing it in trading, I'll get her to think about doing it in exercise. Because very few people actually think about enjoying the process of something. Particularly when it comes to money. Most people are thinking about the money, which we'll come on to later, because you're doing this now. You're not thinking about the money, you're thinking about something else. And I thought, right, get Caroline to do this, because A, I recognise that she used to love sports. B, the process of that's in that book is exactly the same as trading successfully. And so it was a combination of the things that we spoke about, which literally made me say, you need to focus on this first, and then you'll be able to achieve success in that. Because I sat down and thought, what is it that if she made a change in one area of her life would make the biggest change in every single area of her life, and to her financially? And that's what it was.
Oh, that, and the thing that happened after I had done it consistently, sometime between 6 and 8 weeks, is my identity changed? And I remember we had been talking about that, right? How do we see ourselves? And, right, we can say, like I was trying to parrot back what you were teaching in the course, right, what I thought that my identity should be versus what it really was, because I know we spent a lot of time on that in the course. But actually, the way that I viewed myself changed, and I reconnected with that competitive athlete, right, because I really saw myself as a middle-aged woman who struggled with weight.
Yeah.
And then I started to see myself as an athlete. It was a very, very cool transition, and I saw the power of it when it's at a more of a cellular level than just headspace.
So when you started thinking of yourself as an athlete, thus the shift in your identity, your perception of who you truly are, what happened? What happened in your life?
Yeah, well, then it wasn't such hard work. I mean, when I first started out, I was like, oh crap, I got to figure out when I'm going to exercise and I don't really have time, and right. But then once it became part of my identity, I mean, it was more, it's just part of who I am. I didn't have to work so hard at it anymore. It became a natural action instead of one that I was really having to focus on in practice.
Very good. Brilliant. Right. So you make a shift in your identity. You go from being, what did you say? How did you see yourself to an athlete? What were you before?
I was a middle-aged, overweight woman who struggled with my weight.
And you turn yourself into an athlete. You then go and lose a lot of weight and get to the stage where I'm thinking, Caroline, this is kind of taking over your life, this exercise thing. And you start thinking about setting up a business in exercise and all sorts of things like that. Get a personal trainer. And you start going, right, Patrick, I'm going to set up a supplements company. I'm going to set up a sports line of clothing. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I still think it's a good idea.
Right, so your identity really shifted upon how you saw yourself. And I remember you talking about how, Patrick, I've always saw myself as this competitive athlete, and there's certain types of exercise I think is right for certain people, and this I absolutely love. But then you started talking about Lee Haney's got this woman that she used to train, and she's going to train me. And remember that?
Yeah, no, I have big, nice biceps.
Right. So that all happens. So after that, what then do you start focusing on? Before we get to the trading bit, I'm teaching this course. I'm talking about your values, your identity, your beliefs about money, your beliefs about possibility, capability, deservability, and all those things like that. What are you doing with this information as I'm talking about it and teaching it?
Well, I mean, I'm applying it. I'm still not trading, right? I'm still not trading. Yeah, I'm still not trading.
Why not?
Because you taught us about, having a plan.
Oh,
right.
Okay, right, good.
Well, and you threatened to knock me in the head because I didn't have a plan and I hadn't back tested my system and I didn't know what I was doing. So why would I go? Right, I should just write a check to charity because that would have been the end result. And so I was applying it. I was applying it to my life, right? And a huge part of my life was my career, obviously. And so, really the funny thing too is, I've always worked hard and a lot of hours. And the funny thing is I thought I didn't have time to exercise when I first started. And the perception of people, the way that people, I became much more powerful in my work life. I mean, people perceived that I was making a greater contribution when I was working less, because I just was able to, interact at a higher level. I mean, it's kind of like when I went for the interview, I went from, kind of operating at a low level that I couldn't really live at, to my A game, but over time, where I was living became closer to my A game.
Right, now, can you remember at one stage I told everyone you had to read a series of books? I gave you a whole series of trading books to read. And within those books, I told everyone, I said, I want you to all read Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And you said, I've done loads of his courses and books. And I said, yeah, but I can tell you haven't been applying it because of certain things. And you remember I said, right, let's have a look at your finances. Let's see, because the formula to get rich is very simple. You are you take your money and you buy a load of assets that increase in value potentially, and they cash flow as well. Some of them go increase in capital gains. And if you get anything in debt, it's good debt rather than bad debt. Good debt being things that put money in your pocket. Bad debt is anything that takes money out of your pocket. People might go, oh, I'll buy a house. That's an asset. And the form, according to Rich Dad, that's not an asset. That's a liability because it takes money out of your pocket. Now, if this was, it's a good job this isn't television, because I'd have to say, yes, and there's other well-known published authors who teach financial education, but it's not. So, and I like the stuff that Rich Dad teaches. And so I said, let's look at your finances. And remember, you did a stripping process of eliminating debts. Remember that?
Oh yeah, no, I put everywhere that I was spending money, and I went through it with you, and you basically said, get rid of this and get rid of that. And I mean, you had a lot of suggestions for me, and I did everything that you said. I mean, which was, when I remember when you first said it, I was like, there's no way, I cannot do without that. But I mean, I was spending more than I was making, which is right. First cardinal rule of how to not build wealth, right, is spend more than you make. I had to do a smaller percentage to the savings, right, to the financial freedom category. But I have applied that with discipline, and I've knocked out, tens of thousands of dollars in debt over the last few years.
Right. So literally, because I was always, it's not the amount, it's the habit. It's not the amount that you put it in your financial freedom accounts and paying off these things and only buying assets. It's not the amount, it's the habit of doing these things. And most people get into bad habits of buying debt, getting into debt, pay off the debt, get into debt, pay off the debt, get into debt. If you teach yourself the other habits of taking money, buy assets, increase in value, take some money, buy assets, and not only get good debt, as in, like, for example, would be like a mortgage. To get rental property would be positive debt. If you know what you're doing, that is. I'm not saying all rental property is a good form of debt, because if you don't know what you're doing, loads of people tried it in 2007 and discovered, oh my gosh, this is a bit more to this than meets the eye. So, okay, so we're then doing this process, right? Then we start talking about values.
Yes.
And you were going, oh, my kid's my highest values, Patrick. My kid's my highest values. Can you talk about
that? Yeah. How many times do we do that values exercise?
What you and I? Between you and I knew what your real values were, but I kept thinking, I'm not going to say anything to her. I'm going to make her keep doing it until she tells the truth. Because I was saying, Caroline, tell the truth. So, can you talk about that and how you felt about what you were writing and all those things like that?
Yeah, well, I think that's the natural temptation, is to put what you think your values should be instead of what they really are. And so, I kept on going back to the DeMartini stuff, and that it's not that hard to find your values, because it's very clear based on a number of obvious things, how you spend your time and what's in your, and the one consistent, and so I was convinced it was my kids. Now, the interesting thing too is, for somebody who never could, lose weight or, have any kind of discipline in that area of my life. There's no question that health and fitness is one of my top values now. It's just kind of part of who I am, and I love it. Fitness is a sport, rocks. But, the day job was always on there, and of course I wanted trading to be number 1, 2, and, money management. It's hard not to game that a little bit to make yourself look better. But the thing that was always on the list was I called it my day job, because I came into this whole thing thinking that really what I wanted to do was, trade full time and, have more time for my kids. But what I did never matched up to that, right? My day job was always, somewhere at the top. And so, so finally by the end of, after doing that exercise, dozens of times, I finally, acknowledged that really I love working. The funny thing is I always thought that, right, I wanted to trade full time. I wanted to build wealth that way, and I wanted to have all this time on my hands and do whatever I want and go hang out with my kids and be like a pseudo stay-at-home mom, who just made a ton of money, trading. And what I discovered is that really I love what I'm doing, and I love working. And so, one of my highest values is career. So that was kind of what came to the end of it.
Can I just add something to that?
Yeah.
When you say one of your highest values is career, it is your highest value. What I thought was so funny was it was so obvious I am aware of the passion that you have for your children, and we would say, right, you can make the most money from your highest value. Whatever is your highest value is where your billions are, is where your absolute fortune is. And then you need to incorporate other elements of your values in order to make a great vision for your life. Because you started saying it was your children, so I said, right, okay, then let's create a business based on your children. So you were trying to create something like this, but all the time, something around work kept getting in the way. Because I've got to work this many days, and so I can't do it this time. So it was obvious to me what your highest value was, because your highest value will always get in the way of you actually succeeding in something else. Always creep into your life and it will get in your way. So it was evident to me that your highest value was work, because you seem to be spending your time at it. You seem to be working there all the time, every single minute of the day. You were obsessed with this career progression sort of thing. And so then we eventually worked on the premises of that is your highest value. And then you stopped coming up with those, because before, you remember, you were coming up with ideas of thinking, because even though we were incorporating, how do you trade around this? Because I always say, trade around your values. If someone's highest value is trading, then they should be full-time trading. If someone's highest value is learning, then trade around learning. If someone's highest value is their children and all these, the children, the home, shopping, trading around those things. Find a way to get paid for, if your highest value is doing up houses and then you love trading, get paid for doing up a house, spend time with your children, etc. Become an interior designer, take that money, go and invest it in the markets and trade. That was how you'll make your biggest fortune in trading. So you're using the income, getting paid for what you absolutely love, and then trading around that. But most people try and go, I'm going to trade and make my fortune from trading. But their values will get in the way of them trading. It really, truly will. But most people will spend the time going, no, it is. I'm telling you now it is. And it's very hard for most people to tell the truth to themselves about what they utterly and truly value. Because you remember the time you said, right, I'm going to make a business for fitness and gym and what was it? Personal development and bodies. Do you remember that one, Hinton?
Yeah, health and wealth.
The health and wealth business empire. We started planning there, but somehow work kept getting in the way. Do you remember that? Health and wealth empire. You were planning, and you still weren't inspired from within to do it. And I could see. I thought, I'm going to let her just go on with this until she finds out what her true highest value was. And then somehow, what was it that made you realise that work was your highest value?
Well, I mean, I wasn't taking action on any of the things that we talked about. I mean, right? And then I kept redoing my values, and then finally it's just like, you know what? I like what I'm doing. It's obvious. I spend the most time and energy here, so I quit fighting it. And then actually, right, that kind of helped create some more momentum.
Right. So you then start applying this. You start progressing in your career. You've got into some situation now where I don't know if you can say that on here. You start getting executive coaching, and you're progressing through this corporate ladder, and
yeah. I've done right. I'll even go back. I mean, the job that I got this great job when you and I first started working together. You know, from what you taught me, but then like out of the blue, this opportunity. I mean, I was an individual contributor. This out of the blue job came to go be an executive in a Fortune 500 company, you know, with a team of 50, you know, in $1.5 billion business. And so, right, really there's no natural way to go from where I was to where I am, but the opportunity came. And so now, since I've been here, my boss is going to take another role. So I have a potential opportunity to move into a vice president role. And so, right, and I'm having, you know, the CEO left me a letter on my desk a couple of weeks ago. I'm having lunch with the CFO next week. She agreed to be my mentor, right? I've got an executive coach. So there's a ton of momentum, you know, and now that I don't have the distraction of thinking that other things are my highest value and this really is, yeah, I mean, I'm at peace with it. It kind of quit I should be doing this or I should be doing that, and I'm doing, you know, what I enjoy doing.
So you're succeeding at your highest value. So how are you trading now as a result of that?
Oh, yeah. So, right, that's the other thing that I learned. Because all this time, when my children were my highest value, I thought, right, that meant that I needed to support myself trading. And so I actually don't want to trade all the time. I mean, what I learned about myself is trading works when I don't have to trade. I mean, for me, I mean, I've certainly been in the situation where I had to make money trading. That doesn't work for me or my psychology, and it's not really what I want to do. I mean, it's not very compelling. And so all along too, I mean, I had, a method that I had learned a few years back, and I know Patrick thought it was shite.
No, it wasn't that. It's just that it sounded, based on our prior conversations of where I knew you were, and then you telling me you wanted to do this, it sounded like complete and utter gambling and cuckoo. Now when you told me you're doing it, I'm going, good for you.
Yeah, so I actually had been beta testing this platform quietly, while I was doing everything else. And beta testing this platform, I was getting, anywhere from 2 to 4 hours a week as when I traded as my schedule permitted. So I trade on a very, very short term, which means there's a lot more opportunities that get generated. It's price patterns, trade in the direction of the trend. And anyway.
Do you want to tell them how short a time frame it is you're actually looking at, and why you're doing it on that time frame, and how much time you spend trading?
Yeah, no, it's 30 seconds. So all I do is I trade
Sorry.
US
Could you just go back a second? Just explain that.
Yeah.
When you say 30 seconds, can you say it so quickly like it's nothing, right? What do you mean it's 30? What's 30 seconds? To trade the 30 seconds? What's 30 seconds?
Yeah, no, the chart that I watch is a 30-second chart.
So not an hour, not 5 minutes, not 1 minute. It's a 30-second chart.
Yeah, no, I actually have to have a special platform to do it. It's called NeoTicker. I think that's the only place you can get a 30-second chart. But it's this course that I took like 5 years ago, and I had, tried to make it work, and I never could, but I'd spent a lot of saddle time, and I did understand the technique, and the person who had taught me the course, they ended up kind of migrating to Forex because the average true range was so much higher than like the YM or the ES, and then they built this trading platform that conformed to the method really, really well, and it helped me manage my risk. And I was, I've got a background in software, so they made me one of the beta testers. And anyway, I went live with the platform 2 months ago because they ended up establishing a relationship with PFG, which allowed me to be able to use the platform live. And in that 2 months, I've been able to I've traded the account up 25%. Some weeks I haven't traded, right, an hour or two a week at the most. And it's kind of as my, I do it at times where the volume's high enough for the price pattern to play out, but because it's 30-second charts, there's plenty of opportunity. And so, I mean, it just kind of fits my lifestyle because I don't want to be sitting in front of the computer. I don't want to be worrying about what the market's doing overnight, right? I'm in and out. Now, I haven't had a losing trade, and I do realize losing trades are part of it. But I haven't had a losing trade yet. And so, it just kind of works. I mean, as long as I told Patrick, it's like, I have these skills that work as long as I don't try to hug them or build a spreadsheet and depend on where the money's going to come or, right? I mean, it's a great way to build wealth, but it really works well for me because it fits, in the context of all of my values.
Right. So you're working. You've got this executive job. You're working every known hour I know possible to a human being. When do you fit this in?
Well, I couldn't sleep last week, and I woke up, the market moves well 11, 12, because that's 7 or 8 in London, right? Sometimes I do it in the middle of the night. Sometimes I do it in the morning before I leave for work because 4:30 Pacific is 7:30 Eastern, right? So the Forex market starts moving 7:30 New York time. So right, I just kind of do it as if the pattern's there and it's a time of day where there's enough volume for the price pattern to be predictable.
And how long are you looking at the charts for in total?
An hour a week, probably max.
An hour a week?
Yeah.
So what's that, you're doing like 10, 12 minutes a day?
Yeah, really, if I do it right, I might spend a max of an hour. Because I don't look at the charts every day.
Right, okay, right. And then, so you've fitted trading around your highest value, right? Your highest value, right? Okay. And what about your longer term stuff? What are you doing there in your IRA?
Oh, so, right, the only thing that I do is I I knew how to sell call spreads. All I'm doing is I'm selling call spreads in my IRA. And I actually I ended up doubling my IRA last year. Now, the difference between now and before, well, one is I don't sell put spreads because the market moves down too fast. So, I mean, if it stresses me out, I just don't want to do it anymore. And before, I kind of had that compulsion to do it. So I just sell call spreads and I have a couple of criteria, but the other thing is, if the trade gets to double the credit that I took in, then I'm out. And so I know where I'm getting out. But just selling call credit spreads on the Russell 2000, I've more than doubled my account in the last year and a half. I'm up 20% this year. But again, those are the only two things I trade, the only two things I look at. The Russell, the RUT, call spreads in my IRA, and then Euro US dollar on 30-second charts. And that's it. I don't listen to the news. I don't know what else is going on. I don't care what's happening in oil or whatever. Those are the only two things I do.
Right. And you said, I don't need to make money because you were focusing on the wrong thing. That's what you said. So what do you mean you don't need to make the money and you were focusing on the wrong thing? What are you doing differently now? What are you focusing on now? Because today we were discussing this about, you were talking about, I don't want to put any words in your mouth. You were saying like you were focusing on, because of your career and the job, the money. Yeah. Right. Can you just explain that?
You mean when I was talking about the golden goose thing?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So, So before, I had to make the money. I needed the money to live. And so it was a completely different dynamic. I mean, now it's like I have this skill that I've built, right? I mean, and as long as I don't need it, I mean, because the temptation certainly would be to build a spreadsheet and to think about how much money I could make. But this works so well for me because I don't have any expectation tied to it. It's like having a golden goose in my yard, and as long as I don't go outside and try to hug it and bring it inside and make it live with me and, give it food and water and expect it to stay. I mean, it's like I don't have any expectations tied to this. And so it's really very low stress and, right? So I don't know. It's kind of a weird paradox of sorts.
Right. So now you're trading. You're trading around your highest value, right? You worked out what your values were. You changed your identity. You learned to change your state. You're completely focused on your career. That's where your main money comes from. You pour some money into your investments. You do your buckets, your asset allocation, things like this. You trade around the life that's really important to you based on what your true values are. We talk about... Right, here's a question for you. If you never did the course, never did it, right, do you think, I want you to be absolutely honest, don't lie, just, it doesn't matter if I'm here or not, right? If you never did the course, would you be here now in this situation?
Oh my God, no. I'd probably be living in that single wide I thought I needed to go live in. Yeah, no, I mean, my life is completely transformed as a result of, applying the things that you taught in the course. I mean, honestly, I would have never expected this kind of a transformation. I mean, I'm not the same person. I mean, like even, just trading is an example. I mean, the old me would have chased stuff, right? I would, hey, I made money now. I'm going to do it again, right? I mean, I'm very disciplined, and if I'm not in the right state of mind, I'm just not going to bother with it. And so, everything is as a result of this. I mean, even the fact that I know what I need to do, and I mean, just every fundamental, the foundation of my life is different as a result of this. So, there's no question I wouldn't be here.
Right. Would you, now you've got the course.
Yeah.
And you've been through it. And you've got the recordings.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think would happen if you went through it again? And applied it, knowing what your true values are?
I think I'd get to vice president and senior vice president a lot quicker.
Right, okay. Okay, cool. Brilliant. All right. Just very quickly, because Caroline's got to go. She's just sneaked in an hour. Where are you? In your office?
Yeah, no, actually, I'm in a conference room right now.
Okay. Has anyone got any questions for Caroline?
Hi. Right. I'm so quite intrigued that you can discipline yourself where trading's concerned. Just take a couple of trades a week or so, I believe you said, or just 1 or 2 a week, and just walk away. And you say you're passionate about trading as well as everything else you do. I mean, how do you manage to actually do that? I'm intrigued by that.
Honestly, there's no work to it. And so, it's because it's natural for me now to walk away. Who I was, right, my identity. I remember Patrick used to, who am I, right? Because he had me do this exercise where I wrote down who I am, and I put in there who I wanted to be, and then he had me write down examples of how I had done that. And one of those was, I take the actions and I behave like a successful, disciplined trader. And so, I don't know. That's just the way. It's who I am. Okay. It's just not me anymore to chase it the way that I did in the past. I know what works for me, and I'm sticking with it.
That's great. Terrific. It's excellent. It's excellent.
Brian Johnson is saying, do you work on your values every day?
Well, it wasn't very long ago that Patrick and I finished doing the values, and so now that I know what they are, I'm more focused on honing my skills around it. I still utilize coaching. Now I'm getting very pointed coaching, so like I have an executive coach, and that's focused purely on kind of leadership skills and people development and things of that nature. So I'm not working on my values because we did it fairly recently and I know what they are. So instead I'm working more on, how to maximize the drive around the values that I have.
You said, or more to the point, do you work on your mindset every day?
You know what? I'd be lying if I said I did it every day. I think I'm in a different mindset as a result of the course, right? Kind of a game. But, I was telling Patrick this morning, kind of life happens, right? There's a lot of competing priorities. And so, right, it's kind of like, for instance, 3 days last week I came into the office at 4 o'clock because there were some things going on. Right, and I worked out one of those days. I didn't work out 2 of them. And so, right, I know very quickly that doesn't work for me, so I made adjustments this week. And so I do the things that I know contribute to a positive mindset. When I've got something big going on, I'll rehearse it before I go in, using the things that Patrick taught. But I'd be lying if I said I did all this stuff all the time. Sorry, Patrick.
No, listen, if you did, I think you'd be superhuman. Do you know who would do this every single day all the time? Someone that had this as one of their highest values, learning psychology and personal development.
Oh, there you go. Somebody like you.
Somebody like me. Surprise, surprise. Who questions everything and go, why am I doing this? Okay, let me think about my motives. What's my values? What am I trying to believe? What must I believe to be doing this and this and this? And how can I extract more out of my... That's one of my highest values. Right, let's have a look. Mike, Norman, do you have any questions?
No, nothing, Patrick. I think that she's done a wonderful job with all the tools that she's been receiving from you, so thanks.
Brilliant. Kirk, any questions? Type any questions? Oh, go on, Kirk.
I was going to say no questions, but thank you very much for sharing, Caroline. It's an inspiration to hear you talk like this versus how we first started the course.
Oh, God, I was like begging you guys to tell me how to manage my debt.
Thank you very much. That's exactly on the hour, by the way, right now.
It's perfect. Yeah, I've got somebody waiting on me who thinks they have a 5-hour-a-day job.
Right.
I'm going to have to explain that isn't the case.
Right. Oh, dear. Okay. Right. So thank you very much for your time. That's very much appreciated. I hope you guys got something from that as much as I did. I got a lot from that. And who knows, we might have convinced little Roxy to come on next and tell everyone her story, what she's done and how she's been applying everything and what she's doing now and what's different in her life. Right, anyway, anyone, thanks very much and I'll speak to you all soon.
Hey, thanks, Patrick. Thanks, everybody. Have a great weekend.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Patrick. Thanks, Carol.